Hi, in today's video I will be showing you how I painted this seascape of the crashing wave using oil paints. Now I started off by painting the canvas with a mixture of burnt umber with some turpentine and some liquin, just to get the background or the canvas covered, the white of the canvas covered. And then I started layering in the color, and I'm just basically blocking in at this stage, getting in some of the blues and the colors for the sky, and obviously the clouds are going to come in there, get the background of the water in the distance of the ocean, and then obviously layering in the shapes for the wave. So at this stage I'm not too worried about what colors I'm using or any details. I just want to get the canvas covered. If there is some brown showing through for the underpainting, that's not a problem. It will be covered once I add the next couple of layers. There's going to be a lot of layering in this painting. With oils, you generally have to have multiple layers. So you can see I'm just getting in the rocks and placing everything where it needs to be, just so I know where everything's going to go. And obviously there I just painted in the sky and just added some clouds. We are going to come back and refine those clouds, and you will see me later on changing the color of the sky as well. We're going to be lightening that up a bit. Okay, so now you can see I'm starting now to, you can still see some of the brown of the underpainting showing through, but I'm starting to layer in the areas just to block in the colors where there's going to be the splashing water, where the wave is going to crash, the crescent of the wave, and just the direction of the water, and also the direction of the water as it's sweeping up onto the wave as the wave is building up, and also the foam of the water around the wave. There's a lot of movement to this water, and it's not going to be still because there's a crashing wave. So the movement of the water is going to have a lot of foam, which is going to have a lot of shadows and a lot of highlights. So at this point I'm not using any pure white. I'm using titanium white, but I'm also adding in some blues, different blues depending on what color I'm going for. And it's basically some blue greens, and also because I want that teal turquoise color, especially for where the crest of the wave, where the light or the sun is shining through the water, that you're going to see me come through with some turquoise later and bring that brightness out. So I'm always toning down the white. Even now I'm putting in the areas where the wave is crashing. It's not pure white, it is toned down with blues and blue-green as well, even some Payne's gray. So you can see now I'm just bringing the top of the crest of the wave. You can see I'm just putting in some turquoise. That is where the light is shining through the water. You will see that will carry through all down towards the right of the wave because the light is shining through from that angle. And there'll be a hint of it here and there on the left side of the wave as it's coming down and crashing. You can see also I've added some lighter color to the background water, just to show that the water is moving and to give that appearance of moving water. And also the light is shining onto the water. The water can't be completely dark. I am going to come through and lighten that some more because it looks a bit too dark at the moment. So you can see now I'm just adding in some of the directions of the foam of the water, and also some of the highlights in the lighter areas, and also the shadow areas of the wave as the wave is building up and as it turns on the crest and then comes back down. I'm also just adding another layer of paint. I added another layer of paint on the rocks. We will come later and come through and define those rocks with some details. At this point, I'm not still working too much on very fine details. We just want to get the areas that have to have the shadows, and we want to just emphasize on the shadows and the highlights. Coming through now I'm starting to add in some of the details of wave. You can see I'm adding in the foam and also the water lines as the light is hitting the wave as it's going to curl up and then it's going to crash. So once again, I'm still not using any pure titanium white. These are all toned down. You will notice that the color is not the same as the final painting. That's because the camera, I didn't realize the camera was getting a lot of glare, and the light was also causing it to be a bit too bright, so it dulled the color a lot. So it's not as saturated as it is in the actual piece or in the actual painting as I'm seeing it now. But that's why I just put an image of the actual painting afterwards, how it looks. But it still can give you, this video can still show you how I'm drawing or how I'm painting this wave. So you can see I'm adding a few more layers in the background with some white, just to, not pure white once again, that's toned down with some Prussian blue and phthalo blue, as well as some Payne's gray, just to get in some of that light hitting the water and the movement of the water in the background. Now I'm coming through again with some toned down white, which got obviously some Prussian blue as well as Payne's gray, just to tone it down, titanium white, tone the titanium white down. And I'm just coming through on the top of the wave and above the crest of the wave, putting in the areas where the water is going to be sort of sprinkling and shimmering around and splashing as the wave is curving and hitting or crashing. You can see now I'm adding some details in the rocks. It's just getting some burnt sienna on the areas where the light is hitting the rocks, and I'm going to come through with some dark colors, which is a mixture of some of my darkest browns, just to get some of those cracks and those dark shadow areas of the rocks to give them a more three-dimensional look. You'll also notice at the bottom on the wave, there's a lot of where the water is moving, there's a lot of shadows in the water as well, because the water is, as obviously certain areas are not getting as much light hitting on it, and also where the wave crashes, you'll notice that underneath the crashing, splashing water, you'll see that there's a bit of a darkness, because that has to be the shadow areas as the wave is turning over before it crashes. So you can see I'm coming through, refining some of those highlighted areas, and also coming through with the turquoise to touch up that area where the light is shining through the water on the top. Also adding some more details with the shadows and the highlights to the water and the foam on the water as the water is moving around the wave. Also added some, there's some shadows. I'm defining those shadows a bit more. Now I decided to just lighten up the sky a bit and define some of those clouds a little bit more. And then obviously I'm going to come through and add some highlights to the rocks to show that the rocks are wet, because obviously the wave is going to crash. You can see I'm adding some of the, now I'm using the pure titanium white. That's just to get the splashes of water and the glistening of the water, and also to highlight some of the rocks with some of the areas that are going to be wet, because the wave is going to crash over the rocks and recede, and as the wave recedes, the rocks are going to be left wet, so just to give them the look of being wet. And you can see I'm just coming through with some of those shadow areas, and that's it for this painting. This is just a close-up to show you some of the details of the wave and some of the splashing water droplets around the wave, just to give you an idea of the more detailed look of how the wave was painted, to give you that three-dimensional look, as well as the rocks. So I guess that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, don't forget to like and share. If you have any questions or comments, comment below. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks again for watching. Until the next one, bye.